I have a quick question for you. Are you currently earning a decent amount of money, but you end up broke at the end of every month? Maybe having $100 or maybe even $200 after getting your paycheck and paying all your bills. If that is the case, you are in the right place because I once was in that spot too. It's Matthew Canada here, and welcome to another episode of the Kingdom Code. Now, last week we talked about the gap between Sunday and Monday, and today we're going to be closing one of the other gaps, which is a financial gap. Now, here is the moment that I realized I was not financially literate. So, I'm 29 years old, earning $90,000 per year, and I'm barely having $100 to $200 at the end of every month. You know, meanwhile, I'm watching people buy houses, I'm watching people start businesses, watching people take vacations, yet I had no idea where my money was going. Someone asked me this question, and it was, how much money went through your hands last month? And I'm sitting there like, I really don't know. And that is when I realized that I had a huge problem. I'm sitting here earning all this money, and when the money comes in, it's going out just as fast as it's coming in. And maybe you are in that situation too. Well, in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the number one number that actually changed my financial life. So, first, let's start with the problem. All right. What does the Bible actually say about this? So, in Luke chapter 16, starting at verse 10, and I'm going to paraphrase it, excuse me, and it said, "He who is faithful over a little will be faithful over a lot." Now, what that translated to me as is, if I cannot manage my money right now and I have these aspirations to be a billionaire, if I can't manage my money now, I'm not going to be able to manage my money when I have $1 billion. And one of the things that I've discovered, which is actually very helpful, is that God is never going to give you more than you can bear. And many people will say, oh, he's never going to put any pressure on you or things like that. And they think that that quote is what that means. But no, God is not going to give you more than you can manage. I'm also reminded of a scripture or a story in the Bible that talks about the talents. And I believe it's in Matthew chapter 24, where it talked about the master was going away. He gave one person one talent, another person he gave 3 talents, and another person he gave 5. And what really stuck out to me is the fact that two of those people that got the talents actually went and put that money to work in some way and was able to get a return on that money. The one that did not actually, or that had the least, which was the one talent, he didn't do anything with it. He went and buried it. And God actually said, or in that story, the master said that, take it away from him and give it to one of the others and get this person out of my sight. What if the reason why you cannot have your financial breakthrough is for that exact reason? Because you're not currently being a good steward over what you currently have right now. And I'm not just sitting here talking about you or calling you out. This was a conversation that I had with myself. So the hard truth that I had to learn is that I was praying for money. I wanted a raise. I wanted a promotion. I wanted to officially hit 6 figures, but I wasn't managing what I already had. And if I couldn't be faithful over that little, then I wasn't going to be faithful over much. So maybe right now you're earning 60, 80, $100,000 or more per year, and you cannot answer the question that was asked me. How much money went through your hands last month? How much money do you have at the end of every single month? If you can't answer that question, it's okay. for now, because about 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And that actually includes people that are earning over six figures. So, can I be honest with you? I actually thought that I was bad with money. I used to say, you know, I'm not really a numbers guy, even though I'm an engineer and I basically am a few classes from a math major. You know, I work with numbers every day, so I don't want to work with numbers at home. But the truth is, I wasn't bad with money. I was being lazy with my money. And maybe that's what you are doing too. Maybe you're telling people that you're bad with money, but the truth is you're being lazy with your money. And if you really want to fix this problem, the first thing is you have to be honest with yourself. And one of the reasons why I said that I was lazy with money and I didn't want to face it is because of the fact that I knew that if I were to track my income, track the money coming in, track the money going out, down to the very last penny, I would have to confront my spending habits. And really, to be honest, I wasn't ready for that. So in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23, it says, "Be sure to know the condition of your flock and be careful and give careful attention to your herds." So what that basically means is, back in biblical times, your wealth was in your livestock. So people had cattle, people had sheep, people had goats. And you had to know how many sheep you had. You had to know how many goats you had, how many cattle you had, how many chickens you had, how healthy they were, which ones were sick, which ones were pregnant. Why? Because your family's survival depended on it. Right now, many people do not have to focus on livestock. But what they do need to focus on is they need to focus on their money down to the very penny because your family depends on it. So, what is the solution? The number one. The number one number that I had to figure out that was able to help me simplify my life. And it's called net income versus net spending. Or some people will say that it's just your income versus your expenses. But the simple version of this is, where is your money going? All right. So I actually sat down one Sunday morning or Saturday morning and I printed out 3 months of my bank statements. I got a highlighter, I got a pen, and I did something that I've never done before. And that was track every single transaction. And honestly, here's what I found. Restaurants spending $680 a month. Honestly, I thought that it was $300. Subscriptions that I forgot about, $230 per month. Random Amazon purchases, $300 a month. And because I would go out and purchase books and courses because I wanted to learn how to make money, I realized that I was spending about $500 a month. Now, I'm sitting here like in total, I'm spending around $1,300 a month and I didn't even notice it. If I were to take that number and multiply it by 12 over the course of the year, that's going to be about $16,000. Every single year, that is gone, just evaporated. And honestly, that was my old crap moment. I realized that if I were to invest $16,000 every single year over 10 years with an 8% return, that would be $217,000 that I basically just blew away. And honestly, I was just literally throwing away a down payment on a house every single year. So, what did I start to do? Well, the first step is once I pulled that bank statement, I had to be honest with myself. Now, once I was actually honest with myself, then I had to make a decision on was I going to say this doesn't matter or was I going to make a change? And I decided that I was going to make a change. So, here are some steps for you. All right. And it's going to be 5 steps. The first step is I want you to go pull last month's bank statements. If you want to do more than that, you can, but I just want you to focus on last month. Then I want you to have a highlighter and a pen, and I want you to highlight those things that you needed to pay. Maybe it was your rent, your car insurance, putting gas in the car, buying groceries. I want you to go highlight those things, paying your utilities. Maybe you needed to have internet. Highlight those things that you need. Then I want you to start going down the list and categorizing the extra stuff. And here are some categories that you can have: housing, transportation, food, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, other, which includes everything else. Now, this is going to be the moment of truth. And you may be shocked when you actually see this number, but I want you to go and add all of that up, each one of those categories. Now I want you to compare it to the income that you're actually bringing in every single month. So each category that you have, I want you to subtract that number from the amount of money that you're bringing in every month. That is what's going to allow for you to have your financial statement, which is your income minus your expenses. If that number is negative, that means that you are going into debt every single month. If it's barely positive, you know that you are only one emergency away from being broke. Now, if it's significantly positive, then you are actually in a very great spot and you have an opportunity to start building wealth for yourself. Just have to find the right financial vehicle that fits your risk tolerance and that also is giving you a return that you desire to have or that you believe is good enough to put your money there and make sure it's safe. Now, from now on, every single month, you are going to track your money. This is the last step. You're going to track your money. I personally would say write it down. The reason why I say write it down is because it takes more work to write it down and it's going to cause for you to be more cautious. So what I actually have is I went to Walmart, I got a notebook, and I call it my income expenses notebook. So when my income comes in, I have a green pen where I say, okay, this is income. When I have expenses going out, I write with a red pen and say expenses. And this is how I'm actually tracking my money. So let's go through the 5 steps again to be able to get back on track with your finances. Step number 1, you must pull last month expenses. All right. Be honest with yourself. This is not for you to be judging yourself and chastising yourself. This is for you to see where are you right now. Step number 2 is you want to categorize everything. All right. Housing, transportation, food, entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, and everything else will be in the others category. Then I want you to add all of that up for step number 3. Step number 4, I want you to subtract what your income is. Grab your income and subtract all of that from your spending. Once you have done this, step number 5 is you need to start tracking forward. All right. If you end up seeing that you are in debt, then you need to go pull some things back. Maybe you have 5 subscriptions. You have Netflix, Apple, Hulu. You may need to go and take some of those out and just have 1, maybe 2 at the most. If you're basically a little bit positive or barely positive, that means you're one emergency away from being broke and being having a financial hardship. But if you're positive, this is like I said before, you go and you start looking for opportunities to be able to invest that money so that it can grow and it can work for you. Now, when I started to track my expenses, I realized that my awareness of my finances eliminated the waste spending. $20 here, $30 there, $100 there. Like, honestly, just knowing that I spent $600 eating out, crazy work. Now, for number two, I found hidden money. So those subscriptions that I wasn't using, I canceled them. That allowed for me to be able to save about $200 per month. And like I said before, I'm not saying go and cancel all your subscriptions, but do you really need 5 of them? Number three was I could actually plan. Now I can put money aside for if something random happens with my car, which with all cars they do at times. I actually have the money set aside to utilize that. I don't have to go use a credit card. So, what is all this about? Well, here's the kingdom perspective of this. This isn't just about being financially responsible, but it's about being a good steward. It's about honoring what God has entrusted into you, and it's about preparation. This is not just about finances, but it's about your health. It's about your car. It's about the home or the apartment that you're currently living in. Are you being a good steward of what God has given you? God has given you the ability to earn money. That income is a gift. And He is watching what you are doing with it and what you're not doing with it. And it's not because He needs it, because God owns everything. But how you handle your money is a reflection of your character. How you handle your body is a reflection of your character. How you handle your car, how you handle your home, how you handle people is a reflection of your character. All of that works together. So the thing that hit me was, if God could not trust me with my money, why would He trust me with a wife? Why would He trust me with kids? Why would He trust me with influence? And why would He trust me with the business? So every dollar that I was wasting was a dollar that I could be used, or that can't be used, to be able to bless my family's future or be used for my family's future. Maybe helping my parents out in old age, maybe giving to the ministry, or even going towards building generational wealth. So what I decided to do is I decided to look, I'm going to start not only tracking my money, but I'm going to start learning different skills that the wealthy know about what are some different places to put my money. Should I put it in a 401k, a Roth IRA, or a life insurance policy? Or what are the options that I have? And I needed to educate myself on this to see what would be the best vehicle for the goals that I have. Now, when you start tracking your money, you are basically honoring the opportunity that you've been given. You're not going to be single forever unless that's just something that you want to do. Your wife doesn't need you to be rich, but she does need you to be responsible. So imagine, you're having a conversation on a date and she asks you, "Hey, are you good with money?" And you say, "Yeah, I track every dollar and I know exactly where my money goes. I'm currently investing 15% of my income and I'm building an emergency fund." Versus, I think I'm okay. I mean, I have money in my account, I think. Which one do you think that she will respect? The first answer that you gave her? Or would it be the second answer? The Proverbs 31 man, everybody talks about the Proverbs 31 woman, but notice what she's doing. And this is so very important. She is managing resources. She is investing. She's buying properties. She's running a business. So if you want a Proverbs 31 woman, You're going to have to work on being a Proverbs 31 man, starting with your finances. Now, as I stated before, I'm going to give you a challenge. And here's your challenge for this week. And it's non-negotiable if you're serious about this. Some of you aren't going to do it, and that's fine. But for those of you that are ready for your life to change, especially with your finances, before you go to bed tonight, I want you to log into your bank account, download last month's statement, and spend about 30 minutes categorizing your spending or separating out your spending. Write down the total, take a screenshot, or actually don't even take a screenshot, write it down in your notebook with today's date. Now, this week, starting the rest of this week, going forward, I want you to track every single purchase. I want you to track every single dollar that you have leaving and every single dollar that you have coming in. I want you to write it down immediately. So maybe you go get a pocket notebook, and that just is your income expenses journal. And at the end of the week, I want you to add it up. Add up how much you spent. Add how much you had coming in. Because then you're going to know exactly where your money goes. You'll have your baseline of your income. And next episode, we're going to talk about what you could actually potentially do with the information that you have. We're going to go deeper and we're going to talk about identity, specifically why you can't love someone else until you love yourself. And by managing the money that God has entrusted with you, this is an act of self-love because you are being disciplined. You are honoring what God has entrusted to you. So I hope that you were able to get a lot of value from this episode today. Remember that you are not bad with money. You just haven't been tracking it. But that changes today. Thanks for tuning in to the Kingdom Code, and make sure that you are faithful over a little so that you can then be faithful over a lot. And I'll see you in the next episode.